We are not refusing the fact that people should not go to school. Go to school, learn how to read, how to write. So someone should not deceive you in giving you information and you don't know how to access, assess, and assimilate. That's what we need. But if you
Emmanuel Giovanni on your screen again today, well, I'm super excited today. I mean, I've got somebody so special, so dear to me, you know, on set today. I mean, it's one of those busy, you know, men you can talk about. It's not been easy, and it's not easy to get him seated today. But he's here. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. I call him the biggest of them. You know, there's a reason for that, but I'm going to let him introduce himself. I'm sure as this conversation rolls by, you will know why I call him the biggest of them. Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel.
You're welcome, sir.
And thank you for bringing me into your program this morning.
Thank you.
Let's discuss and talk about life. My name is Ndanjinia.
That's right.
I hail from Cameroon, from the English part of Cameroon. Even though we're pushed to study French, to be able to inculcate and understand the world around, especially the French and the English. But I think one was the biggest thing that helped me when I travel around. It's understanding a little bit of the French and to speak English. Thank you.
That's a great preamble, if I would say. Well, I hear you say you're from Cameroon, but then did you say it from the English side, but then you were forced to learn French?
Yes, you know? Cameroon's education, especially in the time when I was born, it's when you were forced to speak French. Per se.
So French was seen as a universal language, or
yes. So I think Cameroon and Canada in the world are the only two bilingual countries that speak English and French.
Okay.
Cameroon is all over Cameroon that has 2 provinces predominantly English and the remaining 8 predominantly French.
And the French speaking.
So for you to be able to excel and do things that you would succeed in the country, it was a basic knowledge that you have to learn French.
Of course, that's the power of language. You know, I always say these things. You know, when you go to a particular place, you know, for you to be able to strive successfully there, you should know the language. I mean, without the language, you might find it difficult to, you know, excel there. Okay, tell me, you've been here for how long now?
That is a very good question. You know, in Cameroon, when you go to varsity and you finish varsity, getting a job, or you went to high school and finished high school, getting a job was something that was very difficult. And we always strive to see if we could travel abroad, go to other countries. And in my time at college and varsity, I was supposed to learn languages in 4 different African countries. Then I chose to Ghana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. So when I got to Zimbabwe, with the story I knew about South Africa, I thought that South Africa was a place to really visit. And when I visited South Africa, which was in 1997, I realized...
That's how many years now?
That's 28 years.
28 solid years.
I realized that there's a lot of potentials in South Africa that you could grab. And I tried to do many other things and to educate myself as well and to grow in the community.
Okay, so you furthered your education here in South Africa?
Yes. When I came to South Africa, I had to go to school again in order to understand the culture and the educational system. In Cameroon, the educational system we have, it's a British education that I did at that time. And it's very funny and disturbing to know that we have few directions that you could follow.
Okay.
Where if you go to school, you would, and you pass the common entrance in list A, you go to a grammar school to go and learn geography, history, and the rest. There was chemistry, biology, that we call the science section, and the arts department. And in the arts department, you would want to be a teacher or a lawyer. That's what most people were doing, because it was not an industrial nation. But when I came to South Africa, I realized that the technical part of life was what makes people to stand on their feet, even if the government did not employ them.
Of course.
Which was something that we looked in Cameroon as those people were not intelligent.
Okay.
In class 7, if you had passed in grade B, it means that you're not intelligent. They wanted to send you to a technical school.
Oh.
And if you passed in grade A, you would go to a grammar school, and they thought that those were the top guys. But that was a very big mistake made by the West African education, because I picked up that it happened in Ghana, it happened in Nigeria. Those guys who did technical education today, they're far better than those of us who speak English. So when I got to South Africa, I realized that I could divert from what I was doing in Cameroon to do something different. And the only thing I could do at that time, because I did literature, was to do marketing and sell products made by those people who never even went to school. So the dynamics of the system education in Cameroon and that is South Africa, they were really different.
Totally different.
So looking at the South African economy and seeing what people consume in this kind of economy, I would call it in simple handwork pays better.
Okay, before we get that deep, you were just talking about the educational settings in Cameroon. Of course, in Nigeria, they are both West African nations.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I feel that the educational system is almost the same, if not. Because I hear you now say you are made to go to this department based on your grade or whatever, but then in Nigeria precisely, sometimes, that's a post I made some time ago about peer pressure. We had them same department, science department, commercial and arts.
Yes.
And the basics we had senior secondary school and a junior secondary school. So obviously if you do well at the junior secondary school, it's your decision, probably with you or your family decision, to determine where you want to be, either in the science department, on the commercial, or as the art may be. But those were personal decisions anyone could make, not the government or the school or the institution, imposing that because your scores are so great, you would. I don't know if you get my.
Yeah, but the one thing that you would understand, there was a line drawn. Okay. So if you had passed in list A, it meant that you're intelligent to go to a grammar school, because people wanted to become either teachers, lawyers, or work for the government. There was no section where you say if you pass on list A, you go to a grammar school, you become something else.
Okay.
Good, we could get doctors from list A.
Okay.
But when you look at the growing economy, you see that those who had passed on list B, that we looked at them as people who are not intelligent in the world, are the greatest today, because they build everything.
Of course.
They do everything. The houses we stay in, the cars we drive, and that's continuous improvement. It's not you per se that will determine. So if you're passing this B, for you to get into a grammar school could have been a tedious task for your parents, because they had to get a school which was not as good as what was the standards of education in the country.
I get you.
Yeah. So literature was a common thing that most people wanted to do, because it was history. But at the end of the day, that history has not helped. Up till today that we speak, when I go to Cameroon, I meet people, we sit and we're talking. You'll ask someone, what have you done? I've got a PhD, I've got a master's degree in what? Mass communication. Where are you going to use that? That's a problem.
Sorry to cut you. I think you're quite making a whole lot of brain. You see, there are a lot of courses people study today that at the end of the day becomes irrelevant. You see people after graduating in school, you still have to go and learn a particular, trade or whatever, due to probably what you've studied. There is no job out there for you. And that's that mistake a lot of people made that earlier on. Sometimes they tell us that education is the key. And for me, I feel education is the key, but the education we're talking is not the one you, it's not just the one you have learned in the classroom. There are so many kind of education one can get apart from the classroom knowledge.
So with that, I will tell you, we have 3 dimensions to learn. You have formal, practical and informal.
Okay.
Let's go to formal. You go to school, you learn to read, you read how to read and write, to be able to be eloquent in everything you do. Practical, you do it from a very early age. And experimental, I mean, these are things that you do it, which is informal. You do it with other people and you learn, like mechanics. Let me just reverse a little bit to what I've said earlier. Being someone who has not been able to pass in grade A or list A, he passes in list B, and the parents do not have money, they must have sent him to go and become a mechanic. I can tell you today, those are the people that are thriving, because one of the ways to learn is to start something at a very early age. I'm going to give you a small scenario as we continue. When a child is born, that child must be monitored from 0 till 4. See what the child likes. If the child is liking a particular field, I believe that that child should be pushed to that particular field. Because in every discipline in life today, you can make money, or you would make money if you're good in what you do. What is a skill? A skill is any ability that you would use in order to apply and do things without necessary force. You don't need to add force in doing something that you have skills in. So if I have skills in plaiting, I'll be able to plait faster, quicker, and I'll make more money from plaiting. If I'm a good cook, that I've started learning at the age of 4 or 5, sitting with my mother in the kitchen, by the time I'm 15, I'll be able to cook good food, and people buy from my restaurant. So our minds were dragged, or were tied, were screwed into a point where we knew that if you go to school, you will learn to read how to write, talk about all the presidents of the countries, talk about headquarters and ministers, which meant nothing because they change. The change we need in the world and in countries like Cameroon is, what can you produce that people would want?
What can you do?
What can you do? And if you start learning something at the age of 9, which is part of your field, if you stop education at that time, you can become the richest. Let's talk about the Ronaldos. Let's talk about the Messis. Let's look at the richest people in the world today. What education do they have?
Most of them failed in the academics.
Thank you.
A lot of them.
And they went out. What they have, it's something that we do not have. Who would claim that we've got kinds of degrees? We are not refusing the fact that people should not go to school. Go to school, learn how to read, how to write, so someone should not deceive you in giving you information and you don't know how to access, assess, and assimilate. That's what we need. But if you need to learn how to access, assess, and assimilate, one thing you need to know how to read and write. Add simple information. Add your money the way you want to do. Know how much money you bring in, know how much money you take it out. If you do those things, then you're sitting in a good platform. But the business outside is the production. If I cannot produce what people want, then I don't have to be here. I need to produce what people are looking for.
What people are in demand.
And that is it. I believe in 3 things in my life. I believe in teachers. Who do I call teachers? People who teach you from the very 0 grade. Because they take so much time in putting knowledge in your head and giving you a direction.
That's right.
Especially when they see where you're going. I believe in doctors. Because those people, especially pediatricians, they treat kids. They treat people who cannot even speak and tell them how they're feeling. I respect them. I might not say I don't respect pilots. I respect pilots because it takes a lot of educational thinking to be able to stand to do things like that. I respect those people. We need police people. What do police people do? We need military people. What do they do? Why do we have wars? We don't need those things. But because we're in such a corrupt world, that's why all those people come into being, which is not necessary.
It's fine. Let me not drag you to that angle. Let's come down. Let's come down a little. You've been here for 28 years plus, and listening to you, it seems you are more or less of an academician. So can you walk with me or walk me through your journey in this setting?
So in education, like when I got here, the funniest thing that I started with was the easiest thing you could do at that time was security. So I had to go to a security school, and a 50-page book, someone coming from varsity, was very easy. So I used to sit in class, and most of the guys who came to do security are guys who had nothing. They've not even passed matric. So a simple chapter that we had to write a test every Friday doing 2 or 3 chapters of 4 or 8 pages.
On security matters.
On security matters. I could read all of that.
Okay.
So I could have like a 98.
Okay.
And the next person is coming like with 60 or 50 something. So the guy who had the school asked me, your English is not very, very clear. It shows that you're not a South African, because South Africans speak proper English. And I do understand that you can speak French. Where do you come from? I said, I come from Cameroon. So he said, what did you do? I said, I did teaching when I had to go to varsity. And I was happy about it. He says, but now that you are here, you've done your grade C, grade B, and now you want to do grade A. If I ask you to do one grade A, come and teach for me, would you do that? I said, yeah, I will do that. So he sent me to a teacher's security training college. I went there for 2 weeks. I was very good. I came back and I started working for him. Because I had a little bit of idea of marketing, I looked at the registers where students came from. I told him that we need to open a school in Ferrinekhen, in Randfontein, and he was happy.
Wow.
So I did that for him.
You advised him?
I advised him, and I did that for him. But unfortunately, in 1999, he was killed.
Wow.
So the wife even asked me to continue with that school. I refused because I don't know why he was killed. He was shot right in front of the campus.
Wow.
So that made me to stop doing security, and luckily at that time there was a Japanese company that was giving scholarship to foreigners, to refugees, because we had to we sit like refugees in order to get the right papers. So I wrote that scholarship and I had it, and they sent me to Vets Technicon. I went, I did business management and bookkeeping. The next year, it was a 1-year course. The next year I went to Dublin and I did bookkeeping again and business management again. And when I finished my course at Dublin, I had nothing to do. I didn't have a job. I opened a small internet cafe where I had to learn how to work on computers. To be very honest, before I came to South Africa, I could not really work on computers. And when I started doing that, I had no job. I spoke to my family. They sent me some money. I opened an internet cafe. That's how I started learning how to play with computers and fix computers and everything. And I was looking for a job to teach. And I got a job in China, southwest of China, in a city called Chongqing. I was there for 18 months.
So you traveled from here
to
China. They offered you,
I got a job.
Visa?
I got a job, yes. I got a visa. I got a job in China.
Okay.
They gave me a visa, a work visa. They gave me permits. I went to China. I was there for 18
after
months.
You already had a mini computer set up, business.
So I left the mini computer set up to one of my friends who is still here in South Africa, who's a big man now. He's got a pharmacy, Tembi. We all went to the same school, CPC Valley. That's a very prominent school in Cameroon.
Wow.
And he was managing it, and he was a teacher as well. He was principal in a school, in primary school in Yeovil. And Gilles, he's in Cameroon now. He's an engineer. He's a building engineer, constructor. And I left the shop with them, then I went to China. When I came back on holidays, I realized that the shop was doing well, but there was a lot of fraud happening in South Africa, and prison was not something that I wanted. So I told him that let's sell the shop, and we sold the shop. And I had a friend who was a lecturer, a principal actually in Dublin, and he asked me when I came back, he says, why do you go and lecture so far? Why don't you come and lecture in South Africa? I looked at how much I was paid in China and how much I could be paid in South Africa, and South Africa had the things that I wanted, the people that I wanted to be with. I decided to come back. And he gave
just like that?
Yeah, just like that. If I tell you that I did not apply for the job, I did not really apply. And when I came back, because I had passion for education, I started lecturing for Dublin. And someone told me that they were looking for an advertisement lecturer in Rosebank College. So I went there. After 1 year, when I saw the way they were doing their marketing, I wrote a program for them. And they all accepted. They used my program. And I had a lot of influence in Dublin and Rosebank College, because at that time it was difficult to get an assessor and a moderator. So an assessor is someone who teaches and sets exams and moderates other people's papers. And I've done those 2 courses, moderator and assessor, and a facilitator. So I worked for both colleges. I was setting exams in economics, in business management, in marketing, I had about 5 or 6 subjects. I was setting exams, and the pay was really good at that time. And it got to a point where I started looking for other jobs, because I thought that in a country like this, you need to grow.
But just a second. But I mean, you just said the pay was good, and
the pay was good.
A couple of this, that you're doing. So why were you looking for something extra?
Because we realized that if you could get an international job, from the pay that you get, you'll get triple or double that. You know, when you speak to people, I used to lecture students, I used to speak to their parents, and some of them even advised me. And like, I had a student that was studying with us, and she told me about Coca-Cola. They were looking for marketing people in African countries, and when I heard the pay, I said, you know what, I think I should go back to school. But they wanted people with an MBA, with a master's. So in 2010, I was made sales manager for Rosebank College. Then I left. I went to Rosebank College till 2012. They could still allow me to teach for their competitors because I had influence in setting of exams. So in 2012, they told me that they did not have students, and they wanted to send me back to the classes because most of the students, they liked my teaching, they wanted me to teach. And so I said to them, no, I don't want to teach
students anymore. Or they didn't have enough teachers to?
They didn't have enough teachers. It was very difficult to get teachers who understand, especially the American English, because advertisement book, the English is very hard. So there were no citizens, no South Africans who were. They had few, but they had students that had to do advertising a lot. So they needed more hands to assist in that. So I told them that no, I don't want to teach anymore. I really wanted to stop teaching. I want to teach private, like part-time, but not full-time. So they told me that then they cannot allow me to be the sales manager anymore. I said, okay, that's fine. At that time, I'd enrolled for my MBA. And I was doing MBA General, which I wanted to get fingers in where I would place myself, which is strategy. And I did that. In 2012, I got a call. I was applying for jobs. I got a call, and I went to Educo in Pretoria, and they employed me as the sales manager. Wow. This branch, so I left from 12,000 salary to 18,000. That was a big jump, and I was happy. That was in 2012, June, somewhere in June. And the branch in Pretoria was not doing well. Because I understood education and how to speak to employees, since I started motivating them how to work, the guys worked until the branch was making a lot of money.
Just a second. I mean, you seems to have so much to dish out on this podcast, but let me allow you take a breather. Let's take this few minutes to of break, and then when we return, we're going to continue on this, okay? So just hold on while we rest. All right, thank you for staying still. So I want to ask, you know, if I leave you, if I allow you, you have so much experiences, so many things to talk about. And I'm sure a lot of us are going to get impacted. We're going to learn a lot through this. But for the sake of time, tell me, in all your time in this different institution, Damalin, Rosebank College, and which other one again?
Mancosa.
Okay, in all your time in this institution, this citadel of learning, I mean, as a foreigner, was it easy for you? Did you face opposition? I ask because, you know, I was also a teacher, but back home, you know, you see this rivalry, this unnecessary competition from your fellow staff, especially when they feel that you're getting so attached, the kids like you're impact, you know, it's this natural hatred, aversion that comes from a lot of people. So being a foreigner in this city and doing all that, even setting exams and marking, did you really face opposition, or were there any finger pointing at you from probably the locals?
Mr. Giovanni, thanks for that question. To be very honest, I never faced opposition from teachers or from the principal or any other person. Maybe they could have had some ill thinking about me or something that was not good, but I did not see that, because me being a foreigner, I think when I went for my interview in Pretoria, the first time to become a sales manager, there were like 7 people involved, as I hear. There were like 3 whites and 4 blacks. There were even someone in the office that has been working there for more than 10 years before I came. But they gave me the job. And that was because of my performance. It was on merit. And when I started working with what I did in the college, I think I was one of those managers that they knew that we need him in the community. And I had many South Africans that I employed as a manager in Pretoria. They moved me to the head office because of my work. I manage 5 branches out of Johannesburg. I was a regional manager.
Wow.
And to be very honest, they treated me well.
Wow.
I believe, and I would still say that anytime, any day, that if you find an educated South African, someone who needs the country to grow, who is educated, is a good person. I've met a couple of them, I've met a lot of them, and never found any opposition with any of the teachers. They might have had some hatred somewhere, somehow, but it was not shown. So
you're saying most of this negative or ill treatment most foreigners get from citizens, if I would say, it's likely from the uneducated?
Yes. Let me not have a blanket answer to everything. I remember when I stopped working last year, I was called for an interview at one college that I don't think it's right to mention at this time, and they interviewed me. The guy who interviewed me is someone I worked with, and I think he was very happy for me to come on board because he knew what I've done. But on the second interview, it was 2 ladies, and they wanted a GM in their branch in Nelspruit, and I believe that they knew that I could do the job, but they claimed that they wanted someone who could speak the language. I think that's where a little bit of jealousy comes in, because the salary was good as well. Yeah, I think that's where they look at it, but we give this foreigner job.
The language, was a part of the criteria?
No.
It wasn't part of the criteria?
Yeah, they just said to me, I spoke to one of the people who were on the panel after that, after the 2 ladies finished interviewing me online, and I asked him, but why didn't I get the job? Because apparently you guys had 3 people and I went for the second interview. So it means that probably 2 of us were chosen because one was eliminated. Yes, so why didn't I get a job? Because I've got a vast experience in managing school, managing tension, talking to people.
This leads me to a question now. Let me, just a bit away, but this is just, I've had this thing people say, they tend to judge you because of where you come from. You've heard that saying, all South Africans are this, all Nigerians are. They don't even, they just say it, South Africans are this, Nigerians are this, Nigerians are criminals, South Africans are this, Zimbabweans are, and I find it quite fascinating when, in this present world, in this age, people tend to generalize things. And this thing could come from, as a result of an experience they must have had with one particular fellow. And then they tend to generalize it. So what's your take about that? I don't know if you've experienced the situation.
There will be generalization in the world, everywhere. And the perception that people have outside, it's different amongst different groups of people, depending on their experience. If you find South Africans who have traveled, those ones who work for MTN, for example, in Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, their mentality and the way of thinking is different.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I do something small and simple today. I've got guys who come to me and they tell me, I work for a Nigerian company, I've been in Nigeria, I've got a pilot, a guy who goes to Nigeria every month or every 2 months to fix planes. Daniel is a very good friend. He comes to me to do business with me now, and he tells me how he likes Nigeria. When people sit and they tell you how they hate other people, they do not know them that well.
That's right.
And I would tell you that if I was in a position in this country to make decisions, I'll give a lot of people free citizenship, let them get into the economy and change the economy. I don't want to go away from our discussion, but we were the first people to start selling tomatoes on the street in this country. Yes. The first 3, 4, 5 months when we came, we were selling tomatoes. The indigenous did not know how to sell on the street. We opened their eyes on that, and today, so the foreigners come with a lot of things. If you go to a place like Bramley, Jewel Street today in Johannesburg, you will see a lot of mechanics, people fixing cars and enriching themselves, which is a very good thing. Put those people in your economy, use their skills. It's not everyone that comes to your country is a criminal. But in order for you to pick out those criminals, when you give them documentation, then you
legalize them.
Legalize them so you can find them. If they have a good brain, see what they do, see how you can inculcate them to teach the others. But when you don't do that, they want to sit by themselves and they want to run away from you. So anybody who generalize, it's to me, it's half knowledge.
I kind of quite want to agree with you, because you hear these things every now. Is either you hear that they are taking their jobs, they are taking their wives, they are taking their this, they are taking their that. I mean, over the years I've employed, I have a couple of, locals, if I was South Africans who work with me, and most times weekend they don't come to work. Once you pay them, you know the story. That's it. And for the mindset you have to grow your business, you wouldn't want such kind of people to be around, because they will be kind of a negative influence. But then somebody somewhere wakes up and say that you're taking this from them, this and that. And I remember most of the job that most foreigners do, they create it themselves.
So one thing I'll tell you about foreigners in different countries, they work hard. I have traveled the world. I think I've never been to America, so unfortunately, but I've been to most of Europe.
Yeah.
Germany, France, Italy, England. I've been to Asia, I've been to Dubai, I've been to China, I've been to India. I can tell you that any foreigner in a country wants to live better life, and for that they will not commit any crime. The only time someone wants to commit a crime is if you're tying him down to do funny things, such as, I'm in South Africa, I'm struggling to get papers the correct way, you don't give me those papers. You don't know me. So I can do something illegal because you cannot find me. So who are you to blame? Are you to blame that person who wants to live an honest life but you don't want to give him that legal rights to do it? Or what?
But the question would be, did you enter the country legally? That's something Christians.
I've seen in north of Africa where people jump into the ship, they get into a country like Italy through the back doors or through the front doors, and they become legalized. So to me, it doesn't matter how you get into that country.
It doesn't matter.
The problem is you're probably running away from something from where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Maybe it's poverty.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, this has helped a lot of people, men or women, help their families and help other people. You came here illegally. Thank you, if that's the case. But you've employed an indigent of the country. He's getting a salary and he's feeding 5 families or 5 mouths. That's something great you're doing. So if they do not want to give you the papers to legalize you, can you employ more 10? Can your business grow? The answer is no.
I see.
And you cannot even pay tax.
I see.
So I think the government has something that they need to sit and look into the economy. Look at America. America is great today not because of American indigents. It's because of foreigners.
Yeah.
Can we do that in Africa? And I can bet you, a country like Rwanda will become one of the greatest countries in the next generation than a country like South Africa, because they are taking the foreigners that has a meaning in their country and they are using them correctly. That's what South Africa should do.
Tell me, could you say that most of the things, because you hear some people, sometimes some of the things they say here, you realize that a couple of these people are not exposed. So would you want to say that South Africans, or let's say some sections of South Africans who are, some of these ones that are bitter, that sick out, do you want to say that they don't travel? Because probably if they travel, they would have seen.
Yes, they don't travel. Sorry to say this. When I was a lecturer, I was talking about a place in Cape Town. And I asked the students in my class, how many of you have not been to Cape Town? Almost the whole class.
Not been to Cape Town?
Not been to Cape Town. One student told me, since I was born, the only time I came to Johannesburg is when I started coming to Braamfontein. That's a 19-year-old boy. Why? Because they're comfortable with the little they have. And if you're not exposed, if you're not where there is competition, you will think that you have a lot. Then you'll be jealous. So those are the factors that makes people become jealous and envious of others, because they don't have what you have.
Yeah, the world they don't have what you have.
Yes, I have seen people who, they work, they get a salary, they go and buy an expensive car. In the next 6 months or 1 year, they lose the job.
They lose the job.
After 3 years, they struggled with that car, they are paying and they repossess the car.
And takes it back.
Of which this country has a lot of salvage cars that it could buy to have a car. So if I do not have money to go to the bank to buy a car, why should I go to the bank and tell them to give me a car that costs 500,000?
And a foreigner isn't going to do that.
Yes. Why will I do that? Why will I not just drive a small car that has been smashed and has been fixed properly? Because the mechanics are there. The electricians are there. Why can't I just do that and drive a nice car? Why do I need to shop? What I need is a house and my children to go to a good school and to eat. That's all I need. And to help my family back home if I have.
I see.
And that is why foreigners who come to this country, when they meet their own brothers who are doing something legal, they join into that kind of business and they grow so fast. One time I was sitting in a meeting in Santon in Johannesburg, and it was a funny discussion where a lady said, "Where do you stay?" I said, "I stay in Norwood." He says, "No, I hear that all the Cameroonians in Bramley has a lot of money because they buy houses cash." I said, "Yes, it's true, they buy houses." I said, "But where do they get this money from?" I said, "These are industrious people, these are business people. They know what they do and they know how to do it and they do it perfectly. What do they do?" I said, "They buy smart cars and fix them and they resell them." And that is the market which is making money today. Oh, then I want a Cameroonian guy or a Nigerian guy because that's what they do and they have money. That mindset that they have, it's only making them not to work, making them to become lazy. And that is why when they work for you, when you pay them, they don't come to work. I do things first. I have got workers now. I'm trying to do a small business. Before I ask them to do something, I start to do it myself. Then they will see
that you can also do what
I can also do what they are doing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. John. I see you got so much to dish out, but I'm going to let you go for now. Probably in our next sit-up, we're going to conclude on this conversation. I really appreciate your time to be here with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Giovanni.
Thank you
and
so much.
God bless you.
I'll see you soon.
I wish you all the best with your podcast. And we'll talk more about social being in South Africa again.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
See you
Thank you.
again.